To admire, to envy, to imitate. What else is life? Charles Baudelaire.
There is a truth most people spend their entire lives trying to hide from themselves. Desire is rarely born inside us. It is borrowed, imitated, inherited, contagious. We want what others seem to want, not what we truly value. If you removed the eyes of the world, half the things you chase would vanish instantly. Desire is not individual, it is social, it is viral. You think you choose what you want? You don't. You absorb it. Like smoke in a closed room, it fills you quietly, without permission. You see someone living a life you don't have, holding something you can't reach, admired in ways you crave, and suddenly your own life feels insufficient. The object of desire doesn't matter. The person who wants it does. Desire is a mirror. We reflect the hunger of others without realizing it. And this is where the sickness begins. No matter how much you have, no matter how much you achieve, someone out there possesses something that makes your own accomplishments feel smaller. And without understanding this law, you will spend your life chasing shadows, grasping at other people's dreams, resenting their victories, and shaping your identity around whatever you fear you're lacking. Envy is older than civilization. It existed before writing, before markets, before kingdoms rose or fell. It sits underneath human interaction like a silent tectonic force, shifting the ground beneath relationships, friendships, families, entire societies. People hide their envy behind admiration, behind politeness, behind support. But the truth leaks through their tone, their glances, the subtle tightening of their jaw when someone else succeeds. People pretend envy is rare, but it is the most common emotional currency on earth. Watch closely the next time someone announces good news. Watch the expressions in the room. Watch the forced smile, the empty congratulations, the faint shadow of resentment. Most people don't want others to fail. They simply want them to succeed a little less. And here's the brutal paradox. People don't just covet what is superior. They covet what feels scarce: attention, status, love, opportunity, youth, beauty, talent, authority, admiration. When they sense someone else has more of these things, even if they don't consciously admit it, something stirs inside them. A tightness, a restlessness, a silent question. Why not me? That's the birthplace of covetousness. Jealousy doesn't emerge from what you lack. It emerges from comparison. And comparison is everywhere now. In every face, every screen, every timeline, every fleeting encounter with someone who seems to have life slightly more figured out. Social groups become laboratories of desire. The more inaccessible someone is, the more desired they become. The more admired someone is, the more people subconsciously want to dethrone them. The more someone loves a person or object, the more others suddenly feel drawn to it. The world is not logical about desire. It is theatrical. People perform their wants to influence others. They display objects of desire so others will imitate them. They chase things not because those things matter, but because others seem to chase them. Look at any trend, any viral success, any status symbol. It's not born out of authenticity. It's born out of social contagion. But the darkest side of this law is not imitation. It's resentment. Envy builds silently. It collects like dust in the corners of the mind. People who smile at you may carry a hidden bitterness toward your comfort, your confidence, your peace, your talent, your stability. They don't resent the object. They resent the feeling that you possess something they secretly believe belongs to them. They don't want to destroy you. They want to become you. And when they realize they can't, envy transforms into quiet hostility. Human conflict is rarely about facts or ideas. It's about desire. It's about the burning feeling of, you have what I want. This law is the gravitational field behind rivalries, betrayals, manipulation, imitation, obsession, and the subtle sabotage people inflict on those closest to them. It explains why admiration often turns into competition, why the more someone praises you, the more likely they are to envy you. And envy, when denied or ignored, becomes corrosive. You can't escape this law, you can only learn to see it. Because once you understand how desire spreads, how people covet what others appear to value, you begin to see the world as it truly is, a tangle of competing needs, mirrored ambitions, and quiet resentments. You begin to notice how often people want something only after someone else claims it. You recognize that most desires are not individual truths, but collective hallucinations. And you start asking the one question most people never dare. Do I even want the things I'm chasing? Or do I want them because someone else does? That's when the illusion cracks. That's when desire loses its power over you. That's when you stop living inside other people's hunger and finally begin to discover your own. Desire feels personal. It feels intimate. It feels like a whisper from within. But when you examine it closely, brutally, without sentiment, you discover that most of what you call wanting is simply the reflection of someone else's longing glinting inside you. The human mind is not a solitary engine. It is a social mirror. It imitates, absorbs, internalizes, and replays what it sees. Psychologically, desire begins with lack. Not real lack, but perceived lack. And perception is almost always shaped by comparison. A person could feel content with their life until they witness someone else thriving in a way they never considered. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shifts. A new form of yearning appears, born not from true need, but from exposure. This is the first mechanism of covetousness. We desire most intensely what we believe is withheld from us. The mind assigns exaggerated value to what seems just out of reach. The forbidden, the exclusive, the limited, the admired, these objects become symbols of identity, not utility. A person doesn't want a luxury item because it is useful. They want it because other people want it. They want the aura attached to it. They want the status, the implied worth, the reflected admiration. What they really desire is not the object. It's the way the object rearranges their social standing. This is why envy is so dangerous. It is desire distorted by insecurity. People rarely envy those who are entirely beyond their reach. They envy those close enough to resemble them, but slightly more accomplished. A colleague, a friend, a sibling, a rival. These are the true catalysts of covetousness. In those comparisons, the mind quietly whispers, "That could have been me." And from that whisper emerges bitterness, self-doubt, and compulsive imitation. In psychological terms, humans are wired to copy behaviors that appear successful. This is mimetic desire, a concept explored by the philosopher René Girard. The instinct is simple. If someone else desires something, it must be valuable. Their desire validates the object. Their longing becomes a signal. Their pursuit becomes its proof. Without that external signal, many objects remain invisible. Consider how quickly people lose interest in something that was once coveted the moment it becomes common. Scarcity creates value, but the most potent scarcity is social. When someone else possesses something we cannot easily access, desire burns almost painfully. This instinct forms the basis of everything from markets to relationships. Why do people chase partners who seem uninterested? Why do they crave the attention of those who withhold it? Why do they admire people who give them little in return? Because the mind interprets scarcity as importance. If something is hard to obtain, the psyche assumes it must be meaningful. The cruel irony is that once we obtain the object of desire, the desire itself often collapses. Fulfillment kills the illusion. What we truly wanted was the pursuit, the validation, the transformation of self-image promised by the object, not the object itself. This is why people fall out of love with the things they once obsessed over. It was never love, it was covetousness masquerading as passion. Another psychological mechanism at play is projection. People do not see the object clearly. They project fantasies onto it. They imagine it will solve their insecurity, elevate their identity, or close the gap between who they are and who they wish to become. The more they lack internally, the more they inflate externally. Objects become symbols. People become symbols. Relationships become symbols. Desire becomes symbolic, not substantive. Covetousness also thrives in emotional deprivation. A person who lacks attention seeks it through comparison. A person who lacks confidence seeks validation through external markers. A person who fears insignificance seeks symbols of significance. Envy becomes the lens through which they measure their worth. Instead of asking, "Do I value this?" they ask, "Does this make me valuable?" This distortion creates cycles that are difficult to escape. A person desires something because someone else desires it. Another person imitates them. The first person desires it more intensely because others are now desiring it too. And a collective illusion is born. Desire feeding desire, envy feeding envy. This is how entire societies can become obsessed with pointless trends, status objects, and symbolic gestures. The object is irrelevant. The social energy behind it is what spreads. But the darkest psychological truth is this. People often envy those who reflect the parts of themselves they've abandoned. The person who seems confident triggers the one who feels insecure. The person who succeeds triggers the one who procrastinated. The person who loves freely triggers the one who built emotional walls. Envy points directly at the wound. This is why people rarely envy strangers. They envy mirrors. Someone close enough to resemble them, but far enough ahead to remind them of their fears, failures, or sacrifices. When you understand this law, human behavior becomes transparent. You see how desire is manipulated, how envy shapes relationships, how easily people project meaning into emptiness, how quickly admiration becomes hostility, and how often people want things for no reason other than someone else seems to want it. And you begin to realize something uncomfortable. Most of what you desire is not a reflection of your soul, but a reflection of someone else's desire glinting in your psyche. Until you learn to separate your authentic wants from borrowed wants, you will remain a prisoner of other people's hunger, chasing prizes that leave you empty, comparing yourself to ghosts, and living a life measured by how it appears, not how it feels. History often remembers monarchs, warriors, and revolutionaries, but it forgets the quieter tragedies that shape empires from beneath. Desire, especially the kind that imitates another's, has toppled courts and corrupted brilliant men. And few stories illustrate this more sharply than the tale of Alessio di Ravenna, an Italian nobleman of the 16th century whose life was destroyed not by greed, but by the insatiable hunger to possess what another man possessed. Alessio was born into modest nobility, enough land to claim dignity, but not enough influence to command respect. As a young man, he was intelligent, ambitious, and observant, but he carried a seed of dissatisfaction, a quiet sense that fate had underdealt him. He believed he deserved more admiration, more wealth, more recognition, and that belief made him vulnerable. At the center of Florentine society stood Giovanni Amadori, a charismatic diplomat beloved by nearly everyone. Giovanni had a magnetic ease about him, a way of entering a room that made people feel seen. He dressed simply but elegantly, spoke with grace, and never seemed to struggle for influence. He didn't dominate, he attracted. And it was this effortless quality, the kind that cannot be performed, that Alessio envied most. Alessio admired Giovanni at first. He studied him, his posture, his tone, the way he listened, the way people gravitated toward him. He copied Giovanni's style of dress, the cadence of his speech, even his mannerisms. He told himself it was respect. But admiration is merely envy wearing its cleanest clothes. And as Giovanni rose in status, Alessio's imitation grew more obsessive. When Giovanni became a trusted advisor to a powerful duke, Alessio's envy sharpened into resentment. "Why him?" he muttered to himself. "He is no more capable than I am." That thought alone became a poison in his blood. Unable to understand that Giovanni's influence came from authenticity, not performance, Alessio assumed the world was conspiring to deny him what he deserved. Then came Isabella, a woman of rare intelligence and quiet beauty. She was not the type who adored spectacle. She valued truth, nuance, humility. Naturally, she admired Giovanni. Their conversations were gentle, sincere, filled with mutual curiosity. Alessio watched this from a distance, bitterness carving new lines into his face. And something inside him snapped. Alessio wanted Isabella, not simply because she was desirable, but because Giovanni wanted her. Her value, to him, became inseparable from Giovanni's interest. This is the heart of covetousness, the desire to possess what another values as if taking it proves superiority. Alessio pursued Isabella with a calculated intensity. He mirrored Giovanni's compliments, parroted his views, even attempted the same soft humor. Isabella found him pleasant but hollow, an echo instead of a person. Still, Alessio interpreted her politeness as progress. But Giovanni, seeing Alessio's growing fixation, kept his distance. He sensed the energy in the air, that dangerous mixture of admiration and resentment. So he stepped away quietly, wanting to avoid conflict. This only made Alessio worse. Now, in his mind, Giovanni was yielding, and victory felt within reach. Months later, at a grand gathering in Florence, Alessio approached Isabella. He delivered a carefully rehearsed confession of affection, expecting admiration, gratitude, acceptance. Instead, Isabella gently shook her head. She explained that although she respected him, she felt nothing deeper. There was no spark, no inner pull. She apologized with sincerity. Alessio felt the world collapse inside him, but instead of accepting reality, he blamed Giovanni. He poisoned her thoughts. He manipulated her. He must have spoken against me. This is how the covetous mind works. It does not accept loss. It invents conspiracy. Alessio's resentment hardened into obsession. He began whispering rumors about Giovanni, subtle accusations that he was disloyal, that he kept secrets from the Duke, that his influence was dangerous. The whispers spread quickly. People who once adored Giovanni began to doubt him. Suspicion grows faster than trust. In a matter of months, Giovanni's standing at court eroded. The Duke distanced himself. Invitations stopped. Doors closed. Eventually, Giovanni left Florence altogether, seeking refuge in a quieter province. Only then did Alessio feel the first flicker of triumph. Not joy, not fulfillment, just the satisfaction of having toppled the man whose shadow he lived in. But victory turned bitter quickly. With Giovanni gone, Alessio expected admiration, advancement, a rise in status. Instead, he found emptiness. People sensed something unsettling in him, a hunger, a mimicry, a restlessness. Without Giovanni to imitate, Alessio felt unmoored. His identity had never been his own. It was a collage of borrowed traits. Worse, Isabella avoided him entirely. His pursuit, once merely uncomfortable, now felt predatory. She sensed the darkness in his intentions, desire not for her, but for what she symbolized. Over time, Alessio's influence faded. Whispers of his scheming surfaced. The court that once tolerated him now regarded him with suspicion. He withdrew from public life, spending his final years in a country villa, wandering its halls in quiet regret. He never obtained what he coveted, because he never truly wanted it. He wanted Giovanni's reflection. He wanted Giovanni's aura. He wanted Giovanni's life. But desire built on imitation always collapses. Envy never leads to possession, only hollow victory. Alessio's tragedy was not that he failed. It's that he chased something that was never his to desire in the first place. Covetousness is not about objects. It never has been. It is about meaning. The meaning we assign to people, to status, to symbols, to the lives others appear to live more effortlessly than we do. When you peel away every layer of envy, imitation, and resentment, you discover the same truth pulsing underneath. People desire the identity they believe the object will give them, not the object itself. This is why desire is impossible to satisfy. This is why envy feels like hunger with no stomach. This is why people who get everything they wanted often end up feeling more empty, not less, because they did not want the thing. They wanted the person they imagined they would become once they possessed it. Once you understand this, Alessio's downfall becomes painfully predictable. He didn't desire Isabella. He desired what Isabella would say about him. He didn't want Giovanni's status. He wanted the self-worth he believed Giovanni's influence represented. Every covetous person confuses the object of desire with the transformation they fantasize it will produce inside them. And the more unworthy they feel, the more violently they chase. Desire becomes a counterfeit cure. The mind whispers, "If I get this, I will finally feel whole." But that feeling never comes, because you cannot fix an internal void with an external possession. This is the great psychological hallucination of covetousness. It promises identity, but delivers only comparison. The more a person desires, the more they compare. The more they compare, the more they lack. The more they lack, the more they desire. And so the cycle tightens like a noose. Human beings are not designed to desire in isolation. We are social creatures, wired to detect what others value. On an evolutionary level, this made sense. If a tribe member discovered a rare resource, the group benefited by securing it too. But in modern psychological terms, this instinct becomes toxic. Instead of copying survival strategies, people copy lifestyles, personalities, aesthetic choices, ambitions, careers, romantic interests, and sometimes even moral principles, without questioning whether these things align with their nature. This is why modern life feels like a performance. Everyone is borrowing everyone else's desires. People curate themselves around what seems admired. They imitate the hungers of others and then drown under the weight of expectations they never chose. And the worst part? They believe the desire came from within. This is how imitation becomes identity. A person sees someone admired for confidence, so they imitate confidence. They see someone respected for success, so they imitate success. They see someone loved for authenticity, so they imitate authenticity. And imitation of authenticity is the most tragic performance of all. Covetousness blinds people not only to themselves, but to the very thing they are chasing. They see only the glow around the object, never the object itself. They see the admiration someone else receives, not the cost required to earn it. They see the ease, not the discipline, the praise, not the loneliness, the success, not the sacrifice. Desire edits reality. It focuses the mind on one shiny fraction of the truth and hides the rest behind fantasy. This is why obsessed lovers collapse when they finally get the person they've idealized. The living human never matches the projected dream. It is why people who crave status feel emptier once they reach it. The admiration is never as nourishing as the fantasy. Desire promises transformation, but delivers disappointment. Envy promises energy, but delivers exhaustion. Covetousness promises meaning, but delivers confusion. If you want to understand the root of covetousness, look not at what people chase, but at what they cannot tolerate seeing others possess. That is where their insecurity lives. The person who envies someone else's confidence has never healed their own wounds of inadequacy. The one who envies wealth fears their own insignificance. The one who envies beauty is haunted by early experiences of being unseen. The one who envies love fears their own unworthiness. Desire exposes the fracture. Envy exposes the ghost. Covetousness exposes the abandoned self. People covet the things they gave up on. They envy the lives they never had the courage to pursue. They imitate those who reflect the version of themselves they secretly believe they could have been, if only life, fate, or fear had not intervened. This is why envy feels so personal, so sharp. It attacks the dormant version of you. To understand this law is not to condemn yourself, but to recognize the psychological machinery operating beneath your wants. When you see how desire forms, you stop being fooled by its urgency. When you understand what envy points to, you gain access to your deepest unmet needs. When you see why someone else's success bothers you, you uncover the part of your life you abandoned. Covetousness is not a flaw, it is a signal, a painful one. A signal that asks, what part of yourself did you bury, and why does someone else possessing it terrify you? When you face that question honestly, envy dissolves. Desire clarifies. And the identity you've spent years chasing through other people's lives finally begins to form from within, quietly and authentically, untouched by comparison. If you want to escape the trap of covetousness, you must begin by admitting something most people never dare to confront. Your desires are not yours. Not entirely. Not honestly. Not originally. They are echoes, imitations, the reflections of other people's wants, disguised as your own inner voice. You have been chasing shadows, not truths. The first practical step of this law is simple but painful. Interrogate every desire you feel. Do not accept any wanting at face value. Desire hides its origins like a guilty thief hiding fingerprints. You must learn to ask the questions people spend their entire lives avoiding. Did this come from me? Why do I want this now? Did I want this before I saw someone else have it? Would I want this if nobody could see me with it? Would I want this if it gave me no status at all? If the answer is no, or if you feel a discomfort rising inside you, you've caught the desire in its lie. It didn't come from your soul. It came from comparison. The second practical lesson: beware of admiration. Admiration is envy in its larval stage. It starts as warmth, as praise, as inspiration. But admiration becomes dangerous when it is not rooted in respect for someone's work, but in hunger for their aura. When you admire someone too intensely, you begin copying them. You value what they value. You want what they want. You morph into a distorted reflection of their ambitions. This is how people lose themselves, not through failure, but through imitation. Every person you admire has something you believe you lack, but the solution is not to replicate them. It is to confront the part of yourself that feels insufficient. Otherwise, your admiration becomes dependency, and your dependency becomes resentment. Just like Alessio, you will sabotage those you once praised because they remind you too painfully of what you abandoned in yourself. The third lesson is one most people never learn until it's too late. Do not reveal your desires openly. Human beings cannot help but envy what others want passionately. The moment you expose your longing, you make yourself vulnerable. Some will copy you, others will compete with you. Others, silently envious, will hope you fail. Desire is a currency of influence. Whoever controls the visible desire controls the room. If you want something deeply, hide the depth. Move quietly. Let others think your ambitions are modest. Let people underestimate you. This minimizes envy, reduces interference, and keeps your goals unpolluted by outside projections. Next, you must learn the art of desire inoculation, a psychological defense that keeps you from absorbing the wants of others. When someone praises an object, a lifestyle, a relationship, a success, pause before internalizing it. Their desire is not evidence of value. It is evidence of their insecurity, their longing, their fantasy. Do not let other people's hungers become advertisements for your identity. You protect your mind by remembering this truth. If everyone wants it, it's probably not worth wanting. Mass desire is rarely aligned with meaning. It is aligned with status, validation, and fear of being left behind. The strong mind resists this pull. The weak mind confuses conformity with authenticity. Another crucial lesson: envy is information. When you feel that sting, that tightness in the chest, that involuntary comparison, do not run from it. Study it. Envy points directly to the part of your life you have neglected. The person who triggers your envy is not your rival. They are your mirror. Instead of resenting them, ask, what unmet desire inside me is this person revealing? What path did I abandon? What fear stopped me from becoming the version of myself they remind me of? This is how envy transforms from poison into wisdom. But the most dangerous practical warning of this law is about how you treat people who envy you. Envy doesn't always look like hostility. It looks like forced compliments, strange silences, subtle distancing, unexplained coldness, sudden criticism wrapped in politeness. Envious people rarely admit their feelings, even to themselves, but they always act on them. Here is the brutal truth you must accept. Anyone who envies you will eventually try to undermine you. Some will do it gently. Some will do it subtly. Some will do it publicly. Some will do it behind closed doors. If someone constantly watches what you have, compares themselves to you, or imitates you too closely, they are not harmless. They are latent threats. Their resentment will mature. Their admiration will rot. Their closeness will turn into competition. The moment they believe they can take what you have, they will. Distance yourself from the envious. They do not want your friendship. They want your life. And finally, the deepest practical lesson. Free yourself from the tyranny of symbolic desire. If you chase what others value, your life will never be your own. If you desire something because someone else desires it, you'll always feel haunted. If you measure yourself through comparison, your soul will always remain unfinished. Your real desires, the few that actually belong to you, feel different. They are quieter, steadier, less theatrical. They do not need validation. They do not require witnesses. They do not burn with insecurity. They burn with purpose. Everything else is borrowed hunger. Learn to recognize the difference, or you will spend your entire life chasing ghosts of meaning and calling it ambition. There is a moment, quiet, disorienting, almost painful, when you finally realize that much of what you've spent your life wanting never actually belonged to you. Not the objects, not the ambitions, not the relationships, not the fantasies, not even the version of yourself you chased so desperately. They were all borrowed dreams, inherited cravings, echoes of someone else's hunger vibrating through your mind. And the instant this truth pierces you, something inside falls apart and something else begins. You finally see that desire has been using you, not the other way around. Most people will never face that truth. They will cling to the illusion that their desires are authentic, that their envy is justified, that the objects they pursue are sacred markers of personal destiny. They will spend decades chasing things that do not fit the shape of their soul, comparing themselves to people who don't resemble their true nature, and suffering from wounds inflicted by comparisons that were never real to begin with. And when the chase ends, because it always ends, they are left holding something that does not satisfy them, something that feels foreign in their hands, something they pursued because someone else convinced them it mattered. Desire, when unexamined, is the fastest route to self-betrayal. Think about the people you once envied. How many of them still matter today? How many objects you once obsessed over now sit forgotten? How many lives you wanted were nothing more than projections painted on strangers? How many identities you imitated were costumes stitched from insecurity, not authenticity? When you look back, honestly and without pride, you realize how often the things you thought you wanted were nothing more than symbols, glittering placeholders for deeper needs you didn't yet have the language to name. You did not want their success. You wanted the feeling of self-respect that success represented. You did not want their beauty. You wanted the confidence you believed beauty would grant you. You did not want their partner. You wanted the sense of being chosen, valued, adored. You did not want their life. You wanted refuge from your own fear of being insignificant. Everything you chased was a metaphor, and the tragedy is that metaphors cannot feed you. They cannot sustain you. They cannot complete you. They can only exhaust you. This is why envy corrodes the soul, not because it is evil, but because it is misdirected longing. It points not to what you truly desire, but to the part of yourself you abandoned long ago. The truth is, the qualities you envy in others were not meant to be stolen. They were meant to awaken something inside you that you've neglected or forgotten. Envy is not about the other person. It is about the version of yourself you're afraid to resurrect. Once you understand this, the world shifts. You stop resenting those who have what you want. You stop comparing your life against illusions. You stop gripping so tightly to symbols that were never meant for you. And you begin turning inward, gently, patiently, courageously. When you stop absorbing other people's desires, you begin hearing the faint hum of your own. They are quieter, almost shy at first, because they have lived in the shadow of imitation for so long. But they are there, the real desires, the ones rooted in who you are, not who you wish you appeared to be. They don't scream. They don't glitter. They don't demand attention. They simply persist. Your real desires feel different. They feel like recognition. They feel like coming home. They feel like relief, not hunger. And as you follow them, something miraculous happens. Envy dissolves, not because you eliminate comparison, but because you no longer need comparison to define your worth. You no longer crave what others possess. You no longer feel threatened by someone else's talent, beauty, success, or admiration. Those things become neutral. They stop haunting you. They stop steering you. Because once you discover what genuinely belongs to you, everything else becomes irrelevant. This is the liberation hidden inside the law of covetousness. You stop wanting what distracts you, and you start wanting what completes you. And for the first time in your life, desire ceases to be a trap and becomes a compass pointing away from imitation, away from resentment, away from comparison, and toward a life shaped by your own voice, your own rhythm, your own inner truth. You don't escape covetousness by suppressing desire. You escape it by choosing the right desires, the ones that do not come from envy, insecurity, or performance, but from the quiet, honest center of who you really are. And when you reach that place, you realize something profound. Nothing worth having can be taken from someone else, and nothing that belongs to you can ever be taken by them.